Whether you're new to mount collecting or you've been doing it for a while, these are must-have add-ons to aid you on your journey. The first add-on up we're going to talk about will be Mount Collection Log. This is going to be very similar to Simple Armory if you've ever used that on the browser, but this is kind of like an add-on version of that. When you open up the add-on, you're going to get a window showing you a breakdown of all of your mount collection, and then you'll be able to click into individual expansions, for example Dragonflight, and now you'll see which mounts come from rare spawns, which come from reputations. Now unfortunately it isn't going to give you much more information past that. You're not going to get a detailed breakdown of how to get these mounts, but if you just want a nice overview of which expansions you've done, where the sources are in like a very vague way, then this is going to be great for that. You can also control-click mounts as well, which will add them to a pin tab, and this will allow you to keep track of things that you're currently targeting. If you're kind of forgetful and you want to make a list of things you want to target first, then this is a great way of doing this as well. But if you just want a handy add-on that's going to give you a nice breakdown of your mounts and where they come from, then this one is for you. The next add-on we're going to talk about is Worthit Guides. This was made by another YouTuber actually, DallarGG, and this guy puts in a ton of work both into his YouTube channel and the add-ons he's trying to develop as well. So what this add-on is going to allow you to do is get a big old list of not just mounts but pets, reputations, all this kind of stuff. Now it doesn't have everything in. I believe he has about 400 to 500 mounts in it currently, which is still quite a lot. But you'll click on the mounts tab and you'll be able to go through various sources such as reputation or drops, and you're going to be able to click on this. Now unfortunately some of the areas are a little vague than others. For example, the drops doesn't give you a ton of information, but if you go on to the reps tab, this is going to give you a pretty good breakdown of how the rep works, how to start it, and also how to continue gaining rep with the faction. So if you just want a kind of in-game guide, then this is going to be a great starting point. And honestly, I definitely respect this because even putting 400 mounts into this kind of add-on is going to take a ton of work, and hopefully it's something he's able to build on and finish in the future. Next up is Instant Achievement Tracker. What this is going to do is when you enter an instance, it'll have a pop-up box asking if you would like to track this dungeon or raid. And if you click yes, it's now going to kind of keep track of the various achievements within that dungeon or raid. So if you're going for the Glory of the Dungeon Hero or Glory of the Raid Hero achievements, then this is going to help you a ton with that, because it's going to allow you to keep track of the criteria. Say for example, you have to kill X or Y in a certain way. It'll keep track of whether you're on target for that or if you failed it. You'll also be able to click and kind of announce the tactics. So if you're doing this for a raid and people don't know what they're doing, you'll have a one-click button that will now put in the chat all the different criteria and how to do the achievement, so you don't have to kind of sit there and explain it. You'll get a nice, easy, quick run through and breakdown of how the achievement's going to work. So if you do plan to do any of the Glory achievements, or you've not done some yet because you don't want to kind of figure them out or struggle and have to Google guides and stuff, then this is definitely an add-on I would recommend because it's going to make life a ton easier. The next add-on up can feel a little overwhelming at time, but it is very useful, and that is going to be Handynotes. Now on its own, this add-on isn't going to do very much, but you get additional add-ons that are kind of like plugins to this add-on. For example, you'll get Handynotes, and then you'll also get Handynotes Dragonflight, and those two add-ons together, what they're going to do is now all of the Dragonflight related stuff is going to start appearing on your map. So the treasures, the rares, the kind of events and stuff, these are now going to be flagged on your map for you to see. And it gets even better as well. When you mouse over most of this stuff, it's going to give you a little breakdown of how to get it. For example, some of the mounts, if you mouse over the mount, it's going to give you a good chunk of information on how this works. For example, the Seething Slug, it's going to tell you how it's going to work. It's going to show you the various different spawn locations, saving you a ton of time from having to look at guides and stuff. It's all going to be in-game for you. So this is great if you're hunting down rare spawns or stuff that's in the world, then this add-on is a must for that kind of content. And if you're doing previous expansion stuff as well, you can get the plugins for the other expansions like Warlords of Draenor or Pandaria, and it's going to do the exact same thing there. Now it does cluster your map a little bit, and you do have some settings as well where you can tweak it so you don't want to see certain treasures or you don't want to see pets or anything like that. You can toggle those off and it will clean up your map a little bit. That's the only kind of downside with this add-on, but outside of that, it's definitely a great resource. I wanted to quickly touch on something that's not an add-on, but this is something I'm working on to help you get 400 mounts. This is going to be a spreadsheet with 400 of the easiest mounts to obtain. It'll give you a TLDR of how to get it. It'll give you some information on where you've got to go in terms of coordinates and locations. And it'll also have a written and video guide linked if possible as well. And if you've got any suggestions to make this better as well while I'm still working on it, then definitely let me know because I'm up for improving this as much as I can so it's as helpful as possible. Now, when this will be released is hopefully when I hit 100k subscribers. I know that sounds like a lot, but typically about 90+% of my viewers aren't subscribed anyway, so chances are you're watching this video and you're not subscribed. So if you are, subscribe, help us hit 100k sooner, and I will release this big old spreadsheet that should hopefully help you with your mount collecting. If you enjoy collecting more than just mounts within the game, then All the Things is a must. As the add-on kind of names itself, it's basically all the things within the game. So transmog, achievements, pets, all of this stuff is going to be kind of listed and tracked within this add-on. So if you want to hunt down all those mounts and you want to find out what transmogs in the raid that you're in as well, that you don't have, then this add-on is going to help you with that. It's also nice as well because it breaks down what's available in the current zone you're in or the current dungeon or raid. So you get a good overview of what you're missing and what you should be targeting or skipping, and it just saves a bit of time that way. So it definitely feels a bit overwhelming though, because as I said, it literally shows you everything in the game in the kind of a list. But if you do want to collect everything in the game, then All the Things is a must for that goal. If you're not as interested in seeing every single collectible in the game, then a good alternative to this is Mount Collector. What this is going to do is give you a button you can mouse over on your map, and once you mouse over that, it's going to load a list of most of the mounts you're missing and give kind of like a breakdown per category. So it's going to show all of the mounts you're missing from like dungeons and raids, from world bosses, from zone drops, from vendors, from reputations. So you can kind of go through that and just get a nice quick list of things to target if you're bored in Stormwind, you're like, what do I want to do now? Then mouse over Mount Collector and it's going to give you that breakdown of where all the mounts come from, ones that you're missing, and then you can decide what you're going to work towards next. Now the downside is it's not going to give you much information. It's going to tell you, for example, which boss it comes from which raid, and which difficulty you need to do it on, but it's not going to give you information on like any tips or tricks or drop percent rates or any additional information you need to know. It's basically just going to give you the bare minimum. But if you want an add-on that will quickly break down the mounts that you're missing and where they come from, then Mount Collector is going to be an add-on to pick up. The next add-on up is one of my personal favorites. This is one I use quite often, and that is saved instances. What this is going to do is allow you to keep track of your characters in terms of what currency they've obtained or how much they've got on them, and also which raids they're currently locked to for the week or dungeons as well. So if you're targeting a specific mount, let's say Midnight, and you want to mouse over and see which characters have cleared it for the week, you can just do that with saved instances and it'll keep track of all your different characters and what they've done. It not only does that as well, but it also keeps track of the dungeon reset timer. So say you can only do 10 dungeons per hour, then what it'll do is say, oh, you've been doing 10 for 50 minutes. In 10 more minutes, you're going to be able to do your next dungeon. So that's kind of handy as well. But overall, I definitely prefer it for keeping track of all my characters in terms of which raids and dungeons they've done for the week. And it is also nice that it keeps track of the currency, so I can look and see which character currently has the most time warp badges, so I can see which character to do the time walking dungeon on for the week. The next add-on is a Mount Collector favorite, and this is Rarity. This is one of the ones you'll probably hear recommended a lot when you're getting into mount collecting. And what this will do, kind of similar to Mount Collector, it will give you a list of all the different mounts that you've not got and a very small breakdown of where they come from. But that's not really the main goal of Rarity. Instead, what Rarity's main goal is to keep track of your stats. So say, for example, you've killed one boss in particular 100 times, but you don't remember how many times you've actually killed it. You're like, God, I swear I've killed this a bunch. Rarity is going to be there for you, and it'll be like, yeah, you've killed this 100 times. Not only that, it'll have a likelihood calculator. So it's going to calculate likelihood, which is kind of like an average of how long it should take. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to get it once it hits like 90% or 100%. Instead, it's just the likelihood of the majority of players would have gotten the mount by now, you're unlucky. Or if you get it very quickly, then the majority of players wouldn't have got it by now and you are lucky. So it just gives you that idea of how quickly you've got it compared to other players based on the drop chance of the mount. The final add-on to talk about will be Mount Journal Enhanced, and as the name states, this is going to just improve your mount journal completely. It's going to give a more compact and condensed list, which is great because there's a ton of mounts now, so scrolling through the list takes ages. Not only that, but it's also going to display the mounts that are normally not shown. So the ones from Secrets or TCG, those are now going to be in that list as well, so you get a more complete overview. And it's going to allow you to filter mounts better, so you'll be able to filter by expansion or sources, which is kind of nice. It's also going to show the rough rarity of the mount based on the player base and how many of them have collected the mount. For example, a mount that like 70% of the player base has collected will show up as a white mount in your journal, but a mount that only like 3% of the player base has collected is going to show up as a legendary colored mount, meaning that it's quite rare in terms of how many people have actually got it. So this is a great way of figuring out some easy mounts to go for, because the white ones are going to commonly be ones that are easier because more players have them. It will also keep track of when you obtain the mount from when you've got the add-on going forward. So say you get the add-on, you get a mount next week. A year down the line, you'll be able to see the specific date you got the mount, which is quite nice. It'll also allow you to expand the mount journal in terms of literally dragging it and making it the full size of your screen if you wanted to. This gives you a better look of the mount. You can zoom in, you can even do the mount special, and you can even change the background color of where the mount sits. You can put it to like a chroma key color if you want to take that screenshot and put it into like Photoshop or something and get a nice good quality picture of your mount. You're going to be able to do that with this add-on. So this has a ton of features just to make the mount journal way better, and definitely a nice one for mount collectors to have. So which of the add-ons now are you going to download that'll help you with your mount journey? Let me know. Either way, thanks for watching. Look out for more videos coming soon. See ya.